Welcome to Critique with Uncle Jay, the place where hypocrisy is exposed, deception is stripped bare, and every mask of power is mercilessly torn off. Here, we don't play it safe. We speak the truth blunt, bold, and uncompromising. And today, the target is clear. Vladimir Putin, the tyrant disguised as a leader, once again trying to deceive the world with a false narrative of peace. Vladimir Putin, the Russian dictator, is once again taking the stage in a diplomatic charade that amounts to nothing more than a cunning strategy to cover up the atrocities he has committed. After more than a year of waging an inhumane war against Ukraine, he resurfaces with empty claims of being ready for dialogue. There is no genuine intent behind this offer. Instead, what we see is a blatant manipulation tactic, turning the battlefield into a negotiation room, with terms entirely crafted to serve Russia's imperialistic ambitions. Putin does not deserve to be seen as a leader seeking peace, but rather as a ruler obsessed with power, intent on dominating every inch of Ukrainian land. Russian airstrikes continue to shatter the silence and bring destruction. In just the past few days, 6 civilians have been killed in brutal drone attacks. These assaults are not just military operations. They are deliberate attempts to break the spirit of the Ukrainian people and destroy the very infrastructure of a nation fighting to survive. Every strike, every explosion is more than just the destruction of a building or road. It is violence engineered to obliterate Ukraine's hope and future. Putin kills not only with bullets, but with merciless policies. Then comes the claim that Russia is ready to talk, but what does Putin really want? What is he hoping to gain from these negotiations? As always, he demands that Ukraine recognize the illegal annexation of territories seized by Russia, as if these lands rightfully belong to the invading state. This demand clearly exposes his true intention, to turn Ukraine into This demand is a form of modern colonialism, shameless and unmasked. Putin is not offering peace, he is offering total surrender. And if the world plays along with his game, we are paving the way for other dictators to take up arms with impunity, to plunder foreign lands and to silence the voice of freedom with missiles and warheads. Even more repulsive is that as the world watches children die and homes reduced to rubble, Putin still speaks of demilitarizing Ukraine as a condition for negotiations. What does that mean? It means Ukraine must disarm, open its gates, and surrender without resistance to its invader. This is not peace. This is colonization dressed up as normalization. Behind it all, Kremlin lackeys, power-hungry sycophants who live comfortably off the blood and suffering of others continue to spread the vile narrative that this is all for the sake of Russia's security. Security from what? From a neighboring country that simply wants to live free? From the Ukrainian people who want to stand on their own feet? This is not about security. It is about Putin's fear of an independent nation that refuses to bend to his will. Putin is not a leader. He is a political predator who cloaks invasion in false rhetoric. And as long as the world hesitates to call him what he truly is, a war criminal, this brutality will go on. And while blood flows in the streets of Ukraine, Putin's supporters both domestically and internationally continue to whisper cheap justifications that this is all part of geopolitics. Nonsense. This is a massacre. This is blatant aggression that should compel every world leader to stand up and point at Putin as the source of global unrest. But some choose silence, playing it safe, fearing the loss of trade deals or access to cheap energy. They forget one thing. Silence in the face of evil is a form of collaboration. Putin is not only attacking Ukraine, he is attacking the fundamental principles of freedom, sovereignty, and human dignity. Putin is the embodiment of an outdated ruler who should have been relegated to history, yet is still propped up by a corrupt circle of oligarchs and a military apparatus more loyal to power than to conscience. He is not just a tyrant, he is a symbol of the world's failure to uphold justice. Every time a bomb falls on a school, a hospital, or a civilian home in Ukraine, it's not just an attack on a nation, it's a slap in the face to the entire international community that chooses to watch rather than act. And let us not forget the Kremlin's spokespersons, the soulless puppets who stand before cameras daily, spreading lies, distorting reality, accusing Ukraine of provocation, while the bodies of children lie scattered in the rubble of Mariupol and Kharkiv. They are not just part of the system. They are the propaganda engine that breathes life into this barbaric war. They are accomplices in crimes against humanity. Putin is not a historical figure, he is a stain on history. And if the world continues to give space to his rhetoric, then brace yourselves. What follows won't just be the destruction of Ukraine, but the decay of humanity's very values. And what's even more repulsive is that the world still gives airtime to Putin's nonsense, letting him sit comfortably at international forums, allowing him to pretend to be a rational leader. That is no different from inviting a wolf into the sheep's pen. There is no dialogue with destroyers, no compromise with butchers. The world should stop going soft on a man who has torched the UN Charter with his missiles. Meanwhile, the Russian people who dare to speak out are arrested, tortured, silenced. All forms of opposition are crushed. Independent media is shut down. Journalists, activists, even mothers who light candles for peace are treated like criminals. This is the face of Russia under Putin. A nation ruled by fear, run by lies, and driven by the insane ambitions of a man who never knows when to stop. Putin will not stop. He doesn't understand the meaning of enough. The only language he comprehends is power. And if the world still believes it can negotiate with a tyrant like this, then we are walking straight into a blood-soaked abyss, a betrayal of everything humanity is supposed to stand for. Putin must be made to realize that the world is no longer a stage for tyranny like his. If the so-called great powers, the self-proclaimed guardians of peace, continue to let Russia roam freely with blood on its hands, then we will witness one of history's most shameful chapters. The moment we chose silence while slaughter unfolded before our eyes. There can be no tolerance for war crimes, and the world must begin speaking in the only language Putin understands: harsher sanctions, deeper isolation, and uncompromising restrictions on every move Russia makes. The people of Ukraine have paid an immeasurable price, with their lives, their homes, and their shattered future. Yet they have not given up. They are not just fighting for their land, but for the future of a world free from threats like Putin. If they can stand strong, if they can resist this brutal giant with unshakable resolve, then we, the international community, must stand with them. This is no longer just about Ukraine. It is about all of our freedom. If we allow Putin to keep tearing the world apart without real consequences, we are not only betraying Ukraine, we are betraying our own future. If we choose not to act decisively now, we are giving a green light to dictators everywhere to follow in Putin's footsteps. And that, more than anything, is the greatest threat to global peace. Today, Putin is the reflection of evil that thrives when the world compromises too often. He is not just a threat to Ukraine, but a symbol of how dull the moral edge of the international community has become when faced with blatant brutality. And what we are witnessing is not just a military invasion, but an attempt to reshape the world order through bullets, propaganda, and oppression. And look at how most world leaders respond, with flat statements, expressions of concern, and empty diplomacy. What's the point of long speeches about democracy and human rights if, when a dictator bombs city after city, the response is weak condemnation and stale press conferences? Volodymyr Zelensky stands on the front line, not just defending his country, but upholding the moral integrity of the world. In contrast, Putin is a coward with nuclear weapons, brave only in his attacks on civilians, hospitals, and children. A tyrant who hides his fear behind military parades and media censorship. And as long as the world continues to give him a platform, he will keep spilling blood, because he knows, as long as we hesitate, he wins. If the world doesn't stop him now, the question will no longer be, will Putin strike again, but who will be his next victim? That is the true face of Vladimir Putin. Not a leader, but a butcher disguised as a politician. And as long as the world keeps pretending to be blind, the blood will keep flowing. But here, we do not stay silent. Here, we speak out. Thank you for watching this episode of Critique with Uncle Jay. We will never stop speaking the truth, exposing hypocrisy, and challenging oppressive power. See you in the next episode. And remember, silence is a form of betrayal. Fight back with words. Confront with courage. Uncle Jay signing off. Stay sharp, stay loud.